I've got this Colt Paterson that I'm interested in selling. I think this might be a prototype.
That's really, really cool.
I came to the pawn shop today to try to sell my Colt Paterson prototype. I'd like to buy a house closer to my son who lives in California. I would hope to get somewhere close to $100,000.
Where did you get this?
Auction company had this on the internet, and when they were advertising it, they called it a Colt belt model. And from the picture, it just didn't look like a belt model because of the location of these two screws in the center of the frame, which tells me that it maybe was not one of the guns that was a production model.
An actual Colt prototype would be a big deal. This is the gun that started it all. This was the first reliable revolver. For hundreds of years, they were trying to make multi-shot guns. But the problem was they were terrible. There was the pepper boxes. It was 5 or 6 barrels, and you had to hand rotate them after every shot, which by the 6th shot, the entire thing was like blazing hot. And if you touched it, you would burn your hand. And they just never got the design right until this came along. Samuel Colt is one of the biggest names in guns. His multiple-shot revolver first got big with the Texas Rangers. They used them to conquer the last remaining sections of the Wild West. I mean, it's a neat design. It was made to just fit in your pocket without getting hung up. That's why the trigger tucked in, and then once you pulled it back, you were ready to go. I can tell you what, it's got very little use on it. Generally, these things were beat to death. I've never seen a Colt Paterson prototype before. This would be like a holy grail item for gun collectors. How much did you pay for it?
About $4,000.
Okay. My big concern is it's not real. The wear pattern right here should be just as bad as it is over here.
I think it's a prototype because of the position of those screws.
If it's a prototype, it could be worth anywhere between $50,000 and $100,000. Let me get someone down here to take a look at this thing.
Okay. I'm really anxious to see what he can tell me about the gun. Hopefully it is a good one. We'll find out.
Hey, Rick.
Jameson, how's it going?
All right, here you might have a Colt Paterson there.
Maybe. But this guy right here is absolutely convinced it's a prototype.
Okay. I'm an antique firearms appraiser, and I appraise firearms that are made before 1898. Well, there's probably no gun company in the world that's more recognizable than Samuel Colt. Basically, he made his fame by developing the Colt Revolver.
Yeah.
Colt had a factory in Paterson, New Jersey, and basically that's where these guns were made, and that's why they're called a Paterson. You know, Sam Colt was one of the people that helped create the idea that every family, every person should have a gun for self-defense. I'm sure you don't see these that often. What are your main concerns about it?
My big concern is the wear on this pistol is completely wrong. But I know if it's a genuine prototype, it could be worth some ridiculous money.
That's correct. Let me take this book out here and let's make some comparisons. Now, this book is the Paterson Colt book. It's written by R.L. Wilson. This is the definitive book on Colt Patersons. Now, let's just lay that gun down there and make some observations. Look at the angle of the back strap here on this gun, and look at the angle here. This is much more severe. The lug on this barrel is much bigger than the one here. If you lay it on, look where the lug comes out on this. Now, if you look at all the models in this book, none of them look like this.
To me, it still looks like it's a prototype because of the position of those screws.
This screw right here appears to be a modern screw. You know, all these screws back then were handmade.
So, is it real?
In my opinion, it's not real. Everybody has those pipe dreams of finding something that's one of a kind in the bushes, so to speak, but that's pretty much a myth.
I would have loved for this thing to have been real. Let me give you $50,000 for it. But unfortunately, it's not going to happen today. Thanks.
Okay. Well, of course, I'm disappointed. I wish it was the real thing. I was telling myself continually, don't get over-enthused about it. It may be a fake.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm here to tell you a Bible today.
It better be real old, man, because there's a lot of them out there.
Actually, it's got a handwritten letter on the back cover from Mickey Mantle to Roger Maris in 1977 during a Mickey Mantle rehab stay.
Yeah, he was quite the party animal there, wasn't he?
Yeah. Everybody knows Mickey Mantle, so any Yankees fan, it would be like the holy grail to own something like that. I'd like to get $1,500 for it. I'd be negotiable.
If it was just a Mickey Mantle thing, I would just tell you to kick rocks. He made more money as an autograph signer than he ever did as a baseball player, and at one time he was the highest paid baseball player in the world. But the fact that it's a letter to Roger Maris is definitely cool, especially since apparently he was in rehab while he wrote it because he took more than a couple trips there.
Mickey Mantle was one of the greatest players of all time, but he had a lifelong struggle with alcoholism. For an autograph like this, the money's all in the story. So I just need to make sure it checks out.
All right, so what does the letter say?
It says to Roger, I want to thank you for your kind letters. I never thought our friendship would reach past the playing field. Every day it blossoms. I have no paper to write on, so I hope the Lord will bless you through this book. As he has done me, God bless Mickey Mantle.
All right, so have you ever got it certified or?
I haven't. I thought about sending it off to PSA and just hadn't had time to do that.
Any idea what you think it might be worth?
I was thinking maybe around $1,500.
It could be worth it, but you know, if he was in rehab, it sounds really, really preachy and not very Mickey Mantle-ish. I mean, the whole story just sounds way too good to be true. Plus, you got somebody that covered the whole thing up in packing tape. Let me have a buddy of mine that authenticates for a PSA come check this out and see what he thinks it is.
Okay, great.
You want to give Steve a call?
Yeah.
I'm glad they're going to bring somebody in. We're hoping that it's authenticated and real and worth a lot of money, and we can do some good things with the money.
What's happening?
Apparently, we got a Bible with a handwritten note from Mickey Mantle to Roger Maris while Mickey Mantle was in rehab.
That's pretty interesting. If Mantle wrote anything, you know, along the lines with good content to Roger Maris, you're looking at some huge money.
That'd be amazing, yeah.
Well, check it out, man. Tell us what you think.
The first thing I want to do is take a look at the ink. Now, it looks like maybe a tape was kind of applied to it first.
I don't know if somebody did that to try to preserve it, but it kind of made it a little bit blurry.
Well, yeah, that would happen. I mean, it would kind of pull that ink into the tape, so that's kind of that effect you get with that. Looks like it's signed to Roger. I want to thank you for your kind letters. I hope the Lord will bless you through this book. Yours truly, Mickey Mantle.
It just doesn't sound very Mickey Mantle-ish. 1977, if he is in rehab, I'm assuming it's more of a letter, oh man, I can't believe I'm in this place. These guys say I'll get out of here in 4 to 6 weeks.
Most of the stuff I saw Mantle write was more or less obscenity-laced. And I brought some examples of what we're looking at here, just in general. One of the few, by the way, of Mickey Mantle that's actually circulated in collections. But you see his writing. It's block lettering and his signature. This is from 1977. We're looking at a signature with speed, with flow, spontaneity. From this one to this one, there's no doubt in my mind Mickey Mantle never signed this.
Well,
It is just so far off, it's not even funny. It's a nice Bible to hold on to and maybe read from, but other than that, it's got nothing to do with Mantle or Maris. I can guarantee you that.
Yep, thanks, Steve.
All right, guys, good to see you, man. I think there's no question that when someone did this, they were just looking to make a buck. All they want to do is make money and profit off you.
Well, man, if something's too good to be true, it probably is. Thanks for coming down.
well, I was very disappointed, but I'm a treasure hunter, and I'm not going to be discouraged by this one setback. I'll be back out next weekend trying to find the Holy Grail.
What can I help you with?
I've got what I hope is a piece of Continental Currency from 1776 I'd like you to look at.
Oh, this is very cool. Do you know anything about it?
I saw online that if it's real, it could be worth up to $10,000.
No, not up to $10,000.
Okay.
Up to like $500,000.
Are you serious?
This is one of the most desirable coins in the United States.
I actually found the coin in my house. I'm a history teacher, so immediately when I see things that look historical, I have piqued interest. I'd like to sell my coin today because I'm not really a coin collector, so I'd rather have the money.
Where did you get this?
I bought my house and I got to keep all of the stuff that was in it. This is one of those things.
That's cool. It's basically our first coin. In 1776, we declared our independence from Britain. And And there's certain things you have to do to be considered a nation. And one of those things is to actually mint your own coin. They had to mint these coins in secret because with British law back then, to mint currency was the equivalent of counterfeiting. Counterfeiting was a capital offense. You could get hung for it.
Wow, that's crazy.
This coin was partially designed by Benjamin Franklin.
Cool.
And it's just got classic Benjamin Franklin things on there, like on the front of it, it's mind your own business.
Yeah.
Something he would definitely say. It has all the 13 colonies on it, and on the back, we are one. Having one of these coins in good condition would be huge. We're talking big, big bucks, but I have to make sure it's real. Have you had this checked out by anybody?
No.
Okay. The ones you see online that sold for $10,000 literally look like they were ridden over by a truck. The price goes up exponentially the better shape it is. And this one's in pretty amazing shape, which is something that scares me. Continental Currency coins are probably the most faked coins in America because it's one of the most desirable coins that people collect. This thing's in amazing shape, but there has been uncirculated ones of these sold, and there's a really simple way to tell if it's real. These were made out of pewter, which is a very lightweight metal. The first thing you want to do is make sure it weighs right.
Okay.
So right here, I got a scale.
All right. Fingers crossed.
A real one of these weighs between 15 and 18 grams,
Okay.
right in that neighborhood. Ready?
I think so.
$27.4. You have a really pretty replica coin. I wish I could do something for you, but it's just not real. Thanks for bringing it in, though.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I was disappointed, but the hope was there for a moment. I guess I'll just hang on to my coin and show my students what Continental Currency does look like since it's a decent fake, so.
How you doing? Got a Rolling Stones record here I think you might want to buy.
The Rolling Stones limited edition collector's item.
That's right. This is a promotional record that came out in the late 60s. It was distributed only to radio stations, was never released commercially.
Okay. I think I've heard of this. This is one of those weird records they go crazy for. They printed hardly any of them.
Right.
You want me to unwrap this for you?
No, don't do that. This Rolling Stones record was released to radio stations only. It is a limited edition collector's item, and there is a collector who had a copy, and he wanted $7,000 to $10,000 for it. I said, boy, I gotta get a hold of mine and take it down to the pawn shop, make some money.
That is really cool. I mean, was it released any other way?
No, this is more or less a compilation. I think they were promoting the 1969 tour at that time. And they just wanted a nice cross-section of songs to give to the radio stations.
Okay. We have Walking the Dog, Susie Q, who doesn't know that? High and Dry, No Expectations, Dear Doctor. The songs don't sound real familiar. It's not like they're super hits besides maybe Susie Q.
Right.
The Rolling Stones are absolute rock and roll royalty. They came to the United States in the 1960s, part of the British invasion. The Stones have had over 20 top 10 hits and are still selling out stadiums today. Nothing is more rock and roll than that. It's absolutely amazing that it's still in the plastic. Back in the day, you know, you bought records to play them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how much were you asking for it?
$4,000.
I mean, in the far crevices of my mind, I remember something about this album, but I don't know nearly enough to figure out a price on it.
Mm-hmm.
The Rolling Stones, anything to do with them can be worth a lot of money. Let me call a friend of mine and he will know what this thing is worth. He'll know a decent retail value on it, and we'll go from there.
No, I think that'd be great.
Okay? Hang out a little bit. Be right back.
Thanks. I'm all for an expert coming in and taking a look at this record. I hope he tells me that this is the holy grail of Rolling Stones collectibles and that I make the big bucks today.
This supposedly was issued by the record company, 100 copies for England and 100 copies for America. And this is probably one of the more sought-after records in the promo category.
Mm-hmm.
There is no Rolling Stones memorabilia. I've seen one Mick Jagger stage costume in 25 years of doing this. The Rolling Stones have it all. They've pretty much got it in their own warehouses. There's always been a big market for those rarities.
So,
it's a valuation.
Yeah, well, what's it worth?
Yeah, well, the price would be $3,000.
Okay.
Would be the price.
So you think this one's worth 3 grand?
Of course not.
Huh?
First clue is the one we're looking for doesn't say collector's item.
Okay.
All right? And this one here says manufactured in Australia
Okay.
by EMI Records. This one is easily found on the internet for about 150 bucks.
All right.
Once again, I'm the bubble burster.
Okay. All right. Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Always a pleasure. Sorry about that.
Problem.
So obviously, $4,000 is not going to happen.
No, I guess not.
Do you still want to sell it, or is just your
Make me an offer.
50 bucks?
About 100.
I'll tell you what. I'll go 60 bucks on it.
75.
60 bucks.
65. You don't see these around. I mean, it's vinyl.
You know what? I'll give you the 65 bucks for it.
Okay.
Okay. And I'll meet you right over there, and we'll do some paperwork.
Okay, thanks. I was hoping to take my wife to Paris on a vacation, but instead I'll take my wife out to a nice French dinner.
I got something here you guys might be interested in.
What do we got?
It's a baby rattle from the early 1800s.
A baby rattle.
It's sterling silver, got a whistle, and some bells on it. The kids would teeth on this end of the pearl.
Is that why people had such bad teeth back in the
Must have
day?
been. I bought it from a friend of mine. I had to have it because it's an early piece. It's unusual, and I never had one before. It's made out of pearl, and it's made out of sterling silver, and most of the toys today are made out of plastic. And I like to sell it to get the money out of it to buy a watch with.
Do you know much about it?
I know it's got the cat and the fiddle, and the cow that jumped over the moon on it, and it's got a sterling mark. And the whistle does work, those.
And you would think this would be gross and nasty for a little baby, but one thing about sterling silver is bacteria cannot live on silver.
I didn't know that.
It's got antibacterial properties on it. So this would be a good thing for a baby because it killed germs. This was made by Gorham. That's an American silver company. They started off in the 1830s, 1840s, right around then. If it wasn't the best silver maker in the United States, it was close to it. They made tons of things like this. They made Christmas ornaments. They made whistles. They made little tea sets for kids out of sterling silver.
I've done some research on this, and I've only found one other one.
What you're saying is you got the holy grail of baby rattles here.
Maybe, maybe not.
If you were rich in the 1800s and want to flaunt it, this is what you spent your money on. Nothing says status like a silver baby rattle. And Gorham made some of the finest silver items on the market. Well, let me take a look. If you look at the hallmark on it, it's a later hallmark. It's from 1860 to like 1890, so we know it's not really early stuff. They use like a pewter solder, which is like copper and tin. It's not a silver solder because you can see it turning green right in there.
Really?
Okay, well, here's my opinion of it. It's fake.
Really?
It's just pit marks everywhere, and that is not the kind of thing you will find on Gorham, ever. The hallmark on it is barely legible. I don't think this is original. I think someone put this in there because it looks like they just plowed right through the middle of this little scene with the cow jumping over the moon. It doesn't seem like something Gorham would do.
So people are faking baby rattles?
People fake everything, okay? It looks like it's been reproduced by somebody. It just doesn't look right.
Okay.
And generally, when it doesn't look right, it's not.
Is that real pearl on it?
Yeah, that's real mother of pearl, but mother of pearl is inexpensive, okay? And you just have maybe 10 bucks worth of silver there. And I'm gonna pass.
I actually thought it was real. I mean, I thought it was worth a few $100 anyway, you know?
Well, if you bought it off a friend, maybe you get your money back.
Yeah, maybe.
Or maybe he won't be a friend anymore. All right, sorry about that, Ben.
I think he's wrong because I think they wouldn't put that big a piece of pearl on something that was faked. And I don't see why somebody would fake something that unique.